Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio is Mr. Curt Nettles as we follow up the Tuesday night Clinton Board of Education meeting. Good morning, Mr. Nettles.
Good morning.
Welcome to fall, by the way.
Here we are.
Yeah, we're getting closer to the baseball postseason. Big win for your football team Friday night.
Yeah.
How about that? That was a lot of fun.
That was, unfortunately, I had to go out of town for a couple of weddings, but I got the full report about how the game went. And then, of course, read the article you guys posted, talked to Coach Bass. That was great. That's what they needed. And I think it's going to propel us over the next few weeks.
Yeah, those wins really, they really do propel a program, you know.
We really played two very good competitive teams early, Tri-Valley and Eureka. And we showed up at both those games and played hard all the way. And I think that's going to come out when we play these next few weeks.
Yeah, for sure. And as you get into, tougher part of the schedule, Tuscola, Shelbyville, down the stretch there. So that should
we're capable of winning all those games.
I think so. I think so for sure. So look forward to what the Maroons can. Now, what are you, 3-2, 2-2? What do you got right now?
We have 2 wins.
Two wins, 2 losses.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask the Chief, it's 3-2 because we won Meet the Maroons.
Well, Chief and I have some philosophical differences usually.
Usually. Do you guys see eye to eye on anything?
I don't know. I'm quite a bit taller, so.
Thank you for that dad joke this morning. Well done. Let's follow up your meeting. Speaking of football, Mr. Nettles, we have been anxiously awaiting, kind of word on what is next for our facilities in Clinton. I mean, we've heard about all this planning and meeting and talking and planning and meeting and talking that's going on for months and months and months. What do we know now?
Well, it's been more like weeks and weeks.
No, it's been months.
Well, if you want to do something right, you got to plan carefully. So last night at the board meeting, I asked the board for approval to go forward with getting specs detailed and then go out to bid for an 8-lane track, moving our light poles back to accommodate more growth out there, and then turfing the football field this coming summer. Now, I want everybody to understand, just because they said push the go button on getting plans and bids doesn't mean it's a go until we see how those bids come in. If the bids come in like our architects are estimating, then it'll be a go. If they come in ridiculously high, then we're going to have to figure something out. But based on current projects going on around the state, I think their estimates should be pretty accurate. So if all goes well over the next couple of weeks, we're hoping to break ground, as it were, on that this summer.
That would be fantastic.
And have it ready for next school year.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Does this flip the home bleachers and away bleachers yet?
It will, but not quite yet. But what will happen with this plan is we will move the field a little bit toward the west. I don't know for sure how far, but we'll have to move it a little bit west. And to accommodate the growth of the track and moving the lights, we'll probably have to cut some trees down. And eventually, probably the season after next, hopefully get to that grandstand being over on the west side.
I see. What are you at liberty to say what your architects are estimating for the cost on this?
Well, we're hoping a 2.5. 2.5.
Okay.
And that would be reasonable for us to finance and get taken care of. So,
how does the district afford this?
Well, we have terrific potential to finance our projects. We do have some cash we're going to use because we have a reserve, but we'll also have the ability to do some short-term borrowing that we can pay off pretty quickly. And part of that is an example of, and I talked about this last night, also this coming summer, we're going to basically replace the electrical grid in the high school building and the chiller and the boiler. And that's probably going to cost in the neighborhood of $1.5 million to do that. So we're going to have health, life, safety bonds to pay that off real quick, but we're going to pay that off in 1 year. And then we'll be able to borrow again short term for some of these other projects that we're going to do.
People hear borrowing, and
Mhm.
I think we should differentiate. Like school, it feels like school borrowing, like that entity borrowing is different
Yeah.
than like consumer borrowing, if that makes sense.
Or when you build a brand new school building. So
Mhm.
when you build a new house or you buy a new house, you're going to go out and borrow for 20, 25, 30 years. When you build a new school like CES or back early 2000s, the junior high, you're borrowing for 20 to 25 years and paying that off. We're
Mhm.
almost getting to where you got the junior high paid off. CES will be on the books for a little while.
Okay.
But these projects we're talking about, you know, we're not able just to write checks for these kinds of things right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you do a short-term borrowing at a low interest and get it paid off real quick.
Now, I know that this was like we've talked about in the past how the sports complex has been kind of the front and center of the conversation, but there's a lot of things happening within the school walls in terms of improving those things. Where do those projects stand? What's the status of some of those?
Right. And you'll hear Mr. Goebel sometimes say, and I totally agree with this, nobody sees a lot of the other work that may go on. I may talk about it or he may talk about it, but you don't pay attention to it because who even knows where the boiler system is in the high school? I mean, some of us do, obviously. But you don't notice that. You don't notice the air conditioning thing. You don't notice the issues with the chiller. You don't notice that our electrical system is old and needs to be dealt with before we all show up one day and nothing works. So you notice when you walk in and the lights don't work. You notice when the air conditioning is not working. You notice when the heat's not working. But we could get all of that fixed and nobody will know because you just don't see it. So there are those things. And at some point, too, coming up in the next year, maybe 2 years, the high school science lab, the family and consumer science lab at the high school, those things need updated. A lot of times with infrastructure, with technology, nobody sees it, hears about it, thinks about it until, you're like, why is this?
Why does it not work? Yeah, for sure.
So there will be a number of things like that for the high school, not just the, sports facilities outside, but inside. We're hoping we also got approval from the board last night to get our specs done and go out for bids to take care of the floor in the junior high school commons area because the tile in there is chipping. It doesn't look good. It's not great. We're going with a different kind of flooring that will be poured, more like a multi-purpose flooring that will cover the commons and up to the double doors that go down each corridor and the restrooms. Be a lot easier to clean, take care of. It's not going to chip. It's not tile. It's a coating. It's a cover. It'll have a light gray background with some speckles in it,
and you've done like some painting and kind of
fancy up a little bit.
I was gonna say like redecorating, if you want to call it that, at the junior high, right?
We had Chip and Joanna come in.
I just saw one of their houses
Chip
is
and
up
Joanna
for sale.
Couple. No. Yes, they are selling that house they renovated. I read that too.
Now, is that going to be your retirement investment?
No.
I didn't know if you were going to move to Texas.
I don't think I ever want to move to Texas.
Really? No. Why? What's wrong with Texas?
It's really hot down there.
It's also a
long time.
It's really cold up here sometimes. Well, and it gets really hot up here sometimes.
I can deal with the cold for a few months. I'm not leaving Central Illinois because this is where I've been all my life, and my kids are here.
Well, your kids can go to Texas. They're very mobile people.
They're not allowed to move.
I'm not saying they have to move. They can travel, Mr.
We
Nettles.
Will visit. I was just in Texas the other day.
Okay. I'm sorry. We really got off the beaten path here. Anyways, what were we? Oh, redecorating.
Yeah. So jazzing up things a little bit. You've seen it in the high school quite a bit. And you're seeing it in the junior high if you've gone in there. We have parent-teacher conferences. We've had an open house. Girls junior high basketball startup. So a lot of people have been in there. Local companies helping kind of jazz things up a little bit. So it looks neat. And I think once the floor's in.
Will the football, again, our guest in studio, Mr. Curt Nettles, is the superintendent of Clinton Schools. Will the football complex updates, will that kind of be it for a while until, reserves, money can be restored or whatnot? Is there a plan after those things?
Sure. Yeah, we still want to take a step each year if we can do that, and I think we can. Once we pay off the health, life, safety bond to do the high school infrastructure work, we'll have then the capacity to do some short-term borrowing that will help us, I think, complete what we hope to do out around the track and the football field, the baseball and softball as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Got to turf those.
We would like to get those weatherproofed as well. Can you imagine a baseball and softball seasons where, I mean, the only time you can't play is when it's pouring down at the moment. That would be wonderful. So, so looking forward to all of that.
Is that something that would be imminent after?
We hope so.
Pretty quickly?
Yeah, we hope
in
so.
short order?
Yeah.
If you will. That'd be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun.
I think so. There's some wonderful things that I think not only our school district, but a lot of school districts can do and have done. If you go down the road to Sangamon County, Logan County, a number of other counties that surround us, and a lot of our parents and community members do, because they travel to ball games and festivals and other things, and they look and see, wow,
Lincoln High Schools is nice.
Yeah.
Monticello just finished theirs up. It's really nice.
A field house, those kinds of fancy things. The 1% sales tax paid for most of all that. Williams.
So if you don't mind me asking, where does that process stand? I guess
this is Curt Nettles' opinion. This is not me speaking for the board at the moment, but I would venture to say that will be on a ballot sometime next year, I would think. Is that the spring of 24? Is that the fall of 24 when we have the big, I think there's a big election in the fall of 24. So I
think you're right.
Yeah. So I know the last estimate, the 1% sales tax, which, by the way, would be paid by anybody that comes through Clinton and spends money. We would have been making a couple of years ago $800,000 a year. I've been told by somebody in the know that it'd probably be more like $1 million at this point. So, and again, I call that fast money because, I mean, you can use that money pretty quickly. So I think there's a lot of really cool top of the line things the school district could do over the next several years if that was in place. I
just think you're stepping away at a bad time, Mr. Nettles. You need to stick it out and see these things through.
I've gotten you started. You can keep on moving.
Okay. Well, all right. I'll work on that a little longer. Anyways, I've got what? 6 months? 8 months? When's your
June 28th? Friday, June 28th.
Okay. So do you have days, months, weeks? Countdown started?
Someone who shall remain nameless, and she's probably listening right now, put a time clock above my office door. It's 278 days and 18 hours and so many.
Would this happen to be
seconds.
Mrs. Nettles?
No.
Okay. Anyways,
I
got that much time.
Somebody that sits in the desk right out there.
Oh, okay. I've got time then, it sounds like.
Mrs. Nettles does not listen to this radio show.
Okay. Very good. Well, we'll have to get her on that too. I got a couple projects to work on within the Nettles house. Very good. Mr. Nettles, let's take a time out here. Mr. Curt Nettles is the superintendent of Clinton Schools. Our guest in studio. We follow up the Tuesday night Board of Education meeting, and more to come with him on the morning show. WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Wednesday. Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network. Corn starting the day steady, beans slightly lower, and wheat on this Wednesday beginning trade higher. December corn $4.7625 unchanged. March corn unchanged $4.90.5. May corn $4.9925 up 1/4. November beans starting the day $13.1425 down 1.25. January beans down a penny, $13.30 3/4. March beans $13.41 3/4 down half a penny. December wheat opening at $5.90 up 6. March wheat up 5.5, $6.15 3/4. May wheat $6.32 3/4 up 5.5. October bean meal $3.95 even, that's up $3.50. And October bean oil $61.45. That's down 31 cents. Opening numbers at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Wednesday morning. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
Looking for Chevrolet inventory? This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. We have the all-new Chevrolet Trax, Blazer, and Trailblazers coming. Plus, several Chevrolet Equinoxes and Traverses are here. This month, take advantage of extra $1,000 trade-in assistance on your trade. There's always a need for quality trades here at Baum's. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
For the latest in Central Illinois agricultural news, visit IllinoisFarmRadio.com. Get updated information on markets, weather, ag news, local interviews with NAFB farm broadcaster Jared White, and much, much more. All at IllinoisFarmRadio.com.
Connexus will provide local, reliable, affordable, and speed of light fiber internet to Clinton. Get on the install list now by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Fiber internet is coming to Clinton. Get on the install list now.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. Clinton School Superintendent Curt Nettles follows up the Tuesday night Board of Education meeting with us. In our final time moments together here this morning, Mr. Nettles, what else stood out from last night for you?
So the board also approved us moving forward with a 2-year timeline to put together an ELA or a reading curriculum alignment for K through 5. Mm-hmm. So over this year and part of next year, we'll be working on that. There'll be a lot of work done this year. Kara Jensen, our director of teaching and learning, is going to lead that with obviously Ms. Morrison and Ms. Patrick, the principals of our K-5 kiddos. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have committees of teachers involved, and we're going to eventually select a curriculum for our reading instruction. And we're going to have that K through 5, and we're going to have everybody aligned to that. Mm-hmm. So the board approved that initiative last night. So I'm really looking forward to see how that turns out.
Now, aren't there like state curriculums or something that you probably have to follow?
Just standards.
Okay.
So we're supposed to align to the Illinois learning standards, which they're fine standards. So any curriculum you use or purchase or whatever, you should align those to the standards or the most important standards as you can. And that's what we want to do. And we want to make sure that we're also, Illinois is working on a literacy plan for the State Board of Education is doing that. And so far it's a very general concept. It's not going to be heavy mandated kinds of things, but we're going to get back probably to the more phonemic awareness and kids heavy phonics approach.
Yeah. Is this needed? Like, is the district lacked a streamlined curriculum, I guess?
Well, I think over time we've had that, and we've been doing fine. Mm-hmm. I think we don't want, especially with teachers retiring and new ones coming in, we don't want a fractured approach. We want everybody on the same page. We want every third grade teacher doing the same thing. There's going to be different approaches and different styles and things like that. You know, the kid in your classroom is going to get taught the same things, the same kind of way as the kids in my class, but there will be some different experiences just because we're different teachers, but streamlining everything we can is the best way to go. And we talk about doing it with fidelity. So everybody's sticking to the plan because it is the plan. It is the approved plan. It is the best thing in the minds of our experts that we need to be doing with teaching reading.
Very good. Very good. What else from last night, Mr. Nettles?
Trying to think, we did approve the FY24 budget, and it's a good budget. We're in good shape. We're not getting all of that federal money that we got the last few years, but that's okay. We've lived without that before. So.
Yeah. How about playground accessibility? I enjoyed this. Yeah, go ahead.
We talked a little bit more about that. I asked the board to talk a little bit more about that among themselves, have some discussion. we did get a quote. Mr. Goebel went out and did a little research and got a quote to do the rubberized, coating for playground floors, basically for all 3 of our playgrounds, would run us in the neighborhood of $750,000.
What? Seriously?
Yeah, that's expensive stuff.
Whoa.
So again, there's a hope that at some point, and I don't know how many years from now it is, that you build one early childhood center. Instead of having both Lincoln and Douglas, you have one building. So putting a ton of money into some of those things is probably not the best bang for the community's buck.
I see.
What the board left it as last night is we have put some things in place for way better accessibility on the CES playground. But since that's going to be around forever, or for a very long time, if they do any kind of an overall rubberized coating there, that might be the place to do it. So Mr. Gold was going to do more research. How long do those things last when you put them on? We don't know that.
You should just put artificial while you're turfing the football field.
The thing.
Yeah, turf the playground areas. They're aren't they concussion proof? Where if you fall on them, they don't hurt.
Who knows?
Don't talk to Aaron Rodgers about that though.
Well, I think his Achilles went just because he's getting a little older and slower.
No, it's because of turf, Mr. Nettles. There's always a reason. Your age is not a factor. It's the turf. It's always the turf.
Coming from a 57-year-old who likes to run, it is about the age.
Aaron Rodgers is almost 57 too, isn't he? Oh man, about a minute left here, sir. What do you think? What else has kind of been on your radar lately? What are you working on? What are you thinking about?
I'm just thinking about the things we talked about. Those are really the major things: our facilities projects and our curriculum development.
How's the new
those
kitchen?
Are the things. That's wonderful. I've not heard any complaints from the staff in there. It looks great. When you pull the doors down and the kitchen's closed for the day, we got the big maroon stuff on it.
Oh, cool.
So when
Nice.
it's open, it looks nice and cool because it's brand new. And when it's closed, it looks really cool because it's been decorated.
Nice. Good
Yeah.
deal. New gym. Kids like the new gym. Community
We've heard,
like the new gym.
Yeah, community visitors for volleyball games. People are talking about it. Can't wait to have the band in there playing like crazy at a ball game too. So it's just great. The bleachers are comfortable. Well, as comfortable as bleachers can be.
Yeah, right. Yeah, new bleachers. I forgot about those. Yeah,
those
definitely.
Those feel good.
Those aren't. Yeah, those are actually like you said, as comfortable as bleachers can be. Those are top flight.
Yep.
So very good. All right. Well, we'll see you next month, Mr. Nettles. Please
Absolutely.
appreciate your time as always. Again, Curt Nettles, Superintendent of Clinton Schools, our guest in studio here for this morning. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton.